Hello. I can do this without the help of the BBC. So let's deal with my favorite part of the book. I'm sorry that this is how I look today. Um, Brutus is going to come out. Basically, the Roman people want to know what has happened. And so Brutus is going to come out and give a speech. And I want you to notice that Brutus's speech is written in very simple, balanced prose. It's much more logical and straightforward than poetry. He begins by reminding the people that he's an honorable man, and he assumes that the crowd is going to make the connection between the honorable man and an honorably motivated deed. And indeed, it does seem that the crowd feels that way. They are cheering for him at the end. I want you to notice, though, that there's not much that he weakens his case, though, because he relies merely on the technical tools, grammatical structure, words, and phrases to make his suit to the crowd. Brutus's speech is void of passion. It appeals to the crowd's sense of reason, yes, but he mistakenly deems them his intellectual equals. His questions to the crowd are rhetorical in nature. No answers really expected. It's the type of speech that politicians and orators often use. I will come back after Brutus's speech to talk about Mark Antony's.
The noble Brutus is ascending. Be patient till the last. Romans, countrymen, and lovers, hear me for my cause, and be silent that you may hear. Believe me for mine honor, and have respect to mine honor that you may believe. Censure me in your wisdom, and awake your senses that you may the better judge. If there be any in this assembly, any dear friend of Caesar's, to him I say that Brutus' love to Caesar was no less than his. If then that friend demand why Brutus rose against Caesar, this is my answer. Not that I loved Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. Had you rather Caesar were living and die all slaves, than that Caesar were dead to live all free men? As Caesar loved me, I weep for him. As he was fortunate, I rejoice at it. As he was valiant, I honor him. But as he was ambitious, I slew him. There is tears for his love, joy for his fortune, honor for his valor, and death for his ambition. Who is here so base that would be a bondman? If any, speak, for him have I offended. Who is here so rude that would not be a Roman? If any, speak, for him have I offended. Who is here so vile that will not love his country? If any, speak, for him have I offended. I pause for a reply.
No, Brutus!
Then none have I offended. I have done no more to Caesar than you shall do to Brutus. The question of his death is enrolled in the Capitol. His glory not extenuated wherein he was worthy, nor his offenses enforced for which he suffered death. Here comes his body, mourned by Mark Antony, who, though he had no hand in his death, shall receive the benefit of his dying, a place in the Commonwealth, as which of you shall not? With this I depart, that as I slew my best lover for the good of Rome, I have the same dagger for myself when it shall please my country to need my death.
Live, Brutus, live! Bring him with triumph home unto his house! The statue with his ancestors! Let him be Caesar! Caesar's better part shall be crowned in Brutus! Bring him to his house with shouts and clamours!
My countrymen!
Be silent! Brutus, speak!
Be so!
Good countrymen, let me depart alone, and for my sake stay here with Antony. Do grace to Caesar's corpse, and grace his speech tending to Caesar's glories, which Mark Antony, by our permission, is allowed to make. I do entreat you, not a man depart save I alone, till Antony have spoke.
Stay ho! Let us hear Mark Antony!
Let him go up into the public chair. We'll hear him. Noble Antony, go up!
For Brutus' sake, I am beholding to you!
What does he say of Brutus?
He says for Brutus' sake he finds himself beholding to us all.
To best he speak no harm of Brutus here. This Caesar was a tyrant!
Certain. We are blessed that Rome is rid of him.
Peace! Let us hear what Antony can say!
You
Okay. So here it comes. This is the part that many people think may even be the climax of Julius Caesar. This is where the turning point, where Antony is able to turn this crowd, who is so clearly in favor of Brutus, against the conspirators. Antony is going to claim that he's not a great orator, but his funeral speech is 3 times longer than the one given by Brutus, and it is so much more emotionally effective. His use of poetry is remarkable, and it moves the people of Rome to violent acts of rage. He does this by first addressing them as friends, telling him that his goal is only to just bury Caesar, not to praise him. But then it's very clear that he's listened very carefully to Brutus's speech, because he then starts to reiterate elements of Brutus's speech, but notice that he changes the meaning a little bit. Antony forces the crowd to understand the subtext of his speech without violating the conspirators' rule. Remember that he would say no bad things about the conspirators. So unlike Brutus's speech, which is almost sterile, planned, and memorized, Antony's speech suggests a more spontaneous approach. He takes great attention to the effects that his words are having, and even at one point openly begins to weep. I mentioned in the notes that one of the coolest things, honestly, is he uses props, you guys. He brings a body down and lets people look at the wounds, the holes in Caesar's body to enrage them. He takes a will and says, oh yeah, you guys are mentioned in this will. I better not read it to you because, it would make you so upset if you knew what Caesar had left you. And of course, everyone is like, well, we want to hear it. So anyway, here goes one of the greatest speeches ever. And you will need this again and again. Senior year Invisible Man. You'll make a comparison, I promise you.
Romans!
Let us hear him!
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man, so are they all honorable men, come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious. And sure, he is an honorable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? Oh, judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me.
Methinks there is much reason in his sayings.
If I consider rightly of the matter, Caesar has had great wrong.
Has he, masters? I fear there will a worse come in his place.
Mark ye his words. He would not take the crown, therefore 'tis certain he was not ambitious.
If he crown so, some will dare abide it.
Poor soul, his eyes are red as fire with weeping.
There's not a nobler man in Rome than Antony.
Romans,
Now mark him. Begins again to speak.
but yesterday the word of Caesar might have stood against the world. Now lies he there, and none so poor to do him reverence. Oh, masters! If I were disposed to stir your hearts and minds to mutiny and rage, I should do Brutus wrong and Cassius wrong, who you all know are honorable men. I will not do them wrong. I rather choose to wrong the dead, to wrong myself and you, than I will wrong such honorable men. But here's a parchment with the seal of Caesar. I found it in his closet. 'Tis his will. Let but the commons hear this testament, which, pardon me, I do not mean to read. And they would go and kiss dead Caesar's wounds, and dip their napkins in his sacred blood. Yea, beg a hair of him for memory, and dying, mention it within their wills, bequeathing it as a rich legacy unto their issue.
We'll hear the will.
Have patience, gentle friends. I must not read it. It is not meet you know how Caesar loved you. You are not wood. You are not stones, but men. And being men, hearing the will of Caesar, it will inflame you. It will make you mad. 'Tis good you know not that you are his heirs. For if you should, oh, what would come of it?
We'll hear it, Antony!
You shall read us the will. Caesar's will.
Will you be patient? Will you stay a while? I have overshot myself to tell you of it. I fear I wrong the honorable men whose daggers have stabbed Caesar. I do fear it.
They were traitors.
You will compel me then to read the will? Then make a ring about the corpse of Caesar, and let me show you him that made the will. Shall I descend, and will you give me leave?
Stand round.
Stand from the hearse. Stand from the body.
For Antony, most noble Antony.
Nay, press not so upon me. Stand far off. If you have tears, prepare to shed them now. You all do know this mantle. I remember the first time ever Caesar put it on. 'Twas on a summer's evening in his tent, that day he overcame the Nervii. Look, in this place ran Cassius' dagger through. See what a rent the envious Casca made. Through this the well-beloved Brutus stabbed, and, as he plucked his cursed steel away, mark how the blood of Caesar followed it, as rushing out of doors to be resolved if Brutus so unkindly knocked or no. For Brutus, as you know, was Caesar's angel. Judge, O you gods, how dearly Caesar loved him. This was the most unkindest cut of all, for when the noble Caesar saw him stabbed, ingratitude more strong than traitors' arms quite vanquished him. Then burst his mighty heart, and in his mantle muffling up his face, even at the base of Pompey's statue, which all the while ran blood, great Caesar fell. Oh, what a fall was there, my countrymen! Then I and you and all of us fell down, whilst bloody treason flourished over us. Oh, now you weep, and I perceive you feel the dint of pity. These are gracious drops. Kind souls, what weep you when you but behold our Caesar's vesture wounded? Look you here. Here is himself, marred as you see with traitors.
Piteous spectacle.
Oh, noble Caesar.
A woeful day.
Traitors. Villains.
A most bloody sight.
We will be revenged.
Revenge! Revenge! We will revenge!
friends, let me not stir you up to such a sudden flood of mutiny. They that have done this deed are honorable. What private griefs they have, alas, I know not that made them do it. They are wise and honorable, and will, no doubt, with reasons answer you. I come not, friends, to steal away your hearts. I am no orator, as Brutus is, but as you know me all, a plain, blunt man that love my friend. And that they know full well that gave me public leave to speak of him, for I have neither writ, nor words, nor worth, action, nor utterance, nor the power of speech to stir men's blood. I only speak right on. I tell you that which you yourselves do know. Show you sweet Caesar's wounds, poor, poor, dumb mouths, and bid them speak for me. But were I Brutus, and Brutus Antony, there where an Antony would ruffle up your spirits and put a tongue in every wound of Caesar that should move the stones of Rome to rise and mutiny.
He'll burn the house of Brutus!
Seek the conspiracy.
Yet hear me, countrymen, yet hear me speak.
Here, Antony!
Most noble Antony.
Why, friends, you go to do you know not what? Wherein hath Caesar thus deserved your loves? Alas, you know not. I must tell you then, you have forgot the will I told you of. Here is the will, and under Caesar's seal. To every Roman citizen he gives, to every several man, 75 drachmas.
Most noble Caesar, we'll revenge his death! Oh, royal Caesar.
Hear me with patience. Moreover, he hath left you all his walks, his private arbors and new planted orchards on this side Tiber. He hath left them you and to your heirs forever. Common pleasures to walk abroad and recreate yourselves. Here was a Caesar. When comes such another?
Never! Never!
Go back fire!
Black down benches, black down forms, windows, anything.
Now let it work. Mischief thou art afoot. Take thou what course thou wilt.
How now, fellow?
Sir, Octavius is already come to Rome.
Where is he?
He and Lepidus are at Caesar's house.
And thither will I straight to visit him. He comes upon a wish. Fortune is merry, and in this mood will give us anything.
I heard him say Brutus and Cassius are rid like madmen through the gates of Rome.
Belike they had some notice of the people, how I had moved them. Bring me to Octavius.
Take that, BBC. Thank you today.